This is a broadcast of SmallCapVoice.com, a financial communications and investor relations firm. SmallCapVoice.com receives payment for investor relations and financial consulting services that it provides to its clients. You should assume that officers, directors, and employees of SmallCapVoice.com or financial analysts mentioned and their families hold a position and intend to trade in these securities for their own accounts. This is not an offer or recommendation to buy or sell securities. Information in this broadcast is presented solely for informative purposes and is not intended to be, nor should it be construed as, investment advice. As in all investments, an investment in the featured company carries an investment risk. Listeners should review the company thoroughly with a registered investment advisor or registered stockbroker. This broadcast does not purport to be a complete study of the featured company or other companies mentioned. Information used and statements of fact have been obtained from the featured company and other sources but not verified nor guaranteed by SmallCapVoice.com as to completeness or accuracy. Such information is subject to change without notice.
You're wired in. SmallCapVoice.com. Following is a presentation of SmallCapVoice.com, today's leader in investor relations, capital formation, and retail support. Now, with your online business briefing, SmallCapVoice.com's Stuart T. Smith.
Welcome one, welcome all to this online business briefing, brought to you by SmallCapVoice.com. And as you just heard, I'm your host, Stuart Smith, and we're joined today for the very first time by HINTO Energy Incorporated. The company's currently traded on the OTCQB under the ticker symbol HENI. And we're lucky enough to be joined by the CEO, CFO, and director for the company, Mr. George Harris. George, how are you today?
Just fine, Stuart.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to stop by and speak to your company's shareholders as well as our listeners here to this program. And for those listeners who may not be familiar with your company, if you would, go over the business model and market for us, please.
Sure, Stuart. HINTO is in the business of acquiring, exploring, and producing oil and gas, primarily in the Rocky Mountain region of the United States. Currently, the company has acreage in Montana and Utah, and the company's focus is on acquiring existing production where there's an opportunity for expansion, and also in shallower formations where it's less costly to drill at this stage.
The company has a terrific website, listeners. Let me give that to you. It's HintoEnergy.com. If you click on the link for technical capabilities, you can talk about or learn about, what the management team has established as the key technologies for the company. Now, George, let's talk about that management team. Let's start with you as our guest. Let's learn a little bit about your background and then other key members of the management team at HINTO.
Yes, Stuart, my background is fairly broad. Primarily, my initial training was in finance and accounting. I worked for a large public accounting firm, left that, and worked in various manufacturing, banking firms, and then brought a number of small companies public over the years. And then in the last several years, have focused more in the oil and gas area, the latest being HINTO Energy.
Well, again, on that website, there is a link to the management team. Can you go over some of the other key members of the management team like Gary and David? And let's talk about the team there at HINTO.
Sure. Well, I'll start out with the gentleman with the most oil and gas experience. First of all, we've got David Keller. David is a geophysicist who has experience in a number of oil and gas companies in the past. David has a lot of experience in looking at properties and evaluating them for their potential, and then evaluating any seismic that may be available to point out where reservoirs are and de-risk drilling. Secondly, our geologist, Max Sommer, has a PhD in geology, has experience actually in oil fields all around the world. He started in Europe, was in North Africa, in the southwest United States, and then in the last several years he's worked primarily in the Rocky Mountains. And Max has also had experience as an oil field operator. Then we move Gary Herrick, who's our VP Finance and also a board member, has worked with a number of oil and gas companies in fundraising, and Gary's primary activity at HINTO is in the area of assisting us in raising funds to operate the business, and also interfacing with shareholders. And then another person who's recently joined our staff and not on the website yet is Christy Campman as our controller. And Christy has a number of years of experience working with securities attorneys and working with SEC filings and interfacing with the SEC. And so she's primarily now working with us in the finance and accounting area.
Excellent. Thank you for that overview. Now let's look back on 2014 so far. We just hit the midway point of August 2014. Looking back from a leadership perspective, what do you see as some of the major milestones for the company here in 2014?
In 2014, Stuart, we actually really began to generate production from some of the older fields that we had acquired. We've focused this year primarily on our field in Montana at bringing it up, and we've been able to increase the production from what was effectively zero to somewhere in the area of 25 to 35 barrels a day. And so we're kind of finishing that up and bringing 2 additional wells on and hope then to produce consistent results from that. We're also reworking some of our wells in the Cisco, Utah field we have, which are shallow, older wells, and we're looking to get that production up. And then we're constantly looking at acquiring some new properties. We have one which I believe that will close in the near term. And again, it's existing production, but also where we have an opportunity to drill some new wells. So we're in the process of taking out some drilling permits, and hopefully we'll get a couple of those done this year.
Excellent. Well, talking about what you want to get done this year, let's now look at your goals from a leadership perspective here in the remainder of 2014. You just mentioned a couple. Any other key goals for the company in the remainder of 2014, George?
Yes, Stuart. We're really focused on getting our baseline production up to 100 barrels a day by the end of the year. That's key for us because we're pretty conservative on our cash expenditures, and at 100 barrels, it'll put us at a revenue level of a couple $1 million annualized, and also should put us in a position to be cash flow positive from our base operations, not including new exploration. So that's a key goal. In addition, we have a couple of technologies that we're working on that we think will enhance production. I won't get into them for the moment, but we hope to have something that we can bring online by the end of the year.
Excellent. Well, looking at the press wire, the company did issue a couple of updates so far this year. Going back to June, HINTO Energy Incorporated announces increased oil productions. Listeners, to follow along, use that ticker symbol again, HENI. You touched on this. This is from your Mason Lakes, Montana oil field. So this has got to be basically an affirmation of what you're doing there at HINTO, and as well informing the shareholders on the progress. What's your take on this PR?
Well, Stuart, that particular field we picked up, and again, what we're looking to do is acquire things that are maybe a little bit distressed, undervalued, and we think that was the case in Mason Lake. So we went in, it really wasn't producing anything, the outlook wasn't positive. It's my personal view that when we're finished up there that we could have production maybe up to as much as 50 barrels a day. And so it's a good value for HINTO. And it's representative of the type of thing that we're looking at right now. There is an opportunity in the next couple of years to drill as many as 6 additional wells there, which, according again to the geologists we work with, could potentially increase the oil production by a factor of 5.
Well, listeners, once again, we are speaking with George Harris, company's Chief Executive Officer for HINTO Energy Incorporated, traded on the OTCQB under the ticker symbol HENI. As George mentioned, the contact for the company is Gary Herrick. He's the Vice President of Finance. You can reach him at 303-647-4850. Hanover Financial Services as well. You can reach Ron Blakicki at 303-494-3617. And, of course, visit HINTO Energy to take a long look and do your due diligence on HINTO Energy Incorporated. And that's ticker symbol one last time, HENI. Well, George, thank you so much for your time here today at SmallCapVoice.com. We look forward to great things from you and your company here in 2014 and beyond. Thanks, George.
Thank you, Stuart, and appreciate you getting more in-depth information about HINTO Energy.
You bet. For George Harris, this is Stuart Smith saying thanks so much for listening.
SmallCapVoice.com, today's leader in investor relations, capital formation, and retail support, provides its clients with the highest level of service. Our audio interviews are disseminated to one of the largest opt-in audiences available today. How? We at SmallCapVoice.com believe in aligning and affiliating ourselves with other leaders within the investor relations community. By sharing resources, each affiliated firm is made that much stronger and each client is served that much better. Our focus is to identify and provide the very best financial services and solutions available to clients and their shareholders. For more information about our services, please call us at 512-267-2430 or visit us on the web at www.smallcapvoice.com.